Good morning. It is the morning of May 20th, 2013, and I want to give you a quick tour of the 1984 Honda Magna that I'm selling, and give you some rundown on everything I know about it. The paint I did myself right here in this very driveway, so if you're looking for a bike that has a fantastic paint job, this probably isn't the bike for you. Although the logoing is custom, I created that myself and had it printed in vinyl, stuck on the side. The paint is Mercedes black, and it is actually a Mercedes factory color. Got from the actual automotive paint place. It's got 3 coats of clear on it. The bike, as you can see, is got some deficiencies here and there with the paint and with the little surface finishes and stuff like that. Showing, there we go, 11,807 miles, I believe that says, and a half. And it's been a reliable bike for me. I just got a new bike from a buddy of mine, 2006. Can't really afford a new one these days, but I wanted to give you a quick rundown on this one. This Magna has been pretty good to me as I've driven it over the time that I've had it. My friend's dad owned this bike from brand new, and he then owned it afterwards, and I was lucky enough to get it and ride it for a while, and now I just got myself a new bike. So let me show you all around this beauty. And as far as the surfaces go, I'll try and show you some of the surfacing here. You can see that there's some tarnishing on the chrome and aluminum parts, but I've got some chrome polish, actually some metal polish that's supposed to be pretty good for that I have not used yet. The worst of any rust that I know of on this bike actually is right here on the license plate holder. But as far as like the major factory chrome with the fenders and all these sorts of things, all in pretty good shape. Could use some polishing. The engine itself does run a little rough, jetting down the road around 70. It, like I say, is a pretty good bike. It does take a while to warm up. It's a little cold natured, but I think you kind of get the idea. It could use some new rubber on the back, and I'm going to go ahead and start it up here for you, and then I'm going to, actually I haven't started it in 2 days now, but typically it'll start right up. You do have to choke it to start it. Let's see what we can do here this morning and make her go. Let me get that set up here so you can kind of see the controls as I'm tinkering with it. It does take several minutes to get good and hot enough to ride. Otherwise it's a little slow off the gate, but let's see if it'll start right up. Oh, one other thing that I did is right here in the tailpipe. I wanted to show you that I'm actually doing this as a cold start. This is the first start in a couple days. I threw this digital thermometer in the tailpipe a few minutes ago. Let's see what it says. It says it's near 50 degrees. I don't know if you can see that or not. It says that it's 47.5 degrees from sitting in that tailpipe. So the tailpipe obviously is cold to the touch. I think a lot of times people will have something pre-warmed up and try and show you how great it starts when it's warmed up. That's no measure of starting to me, but anyway. So let me go over here and get this thing going, and I am going to go full choke on it and get that puppy choked up. If you let it sit for more than 3 or 4 days, you do have to put a charge on it, but I typically keep it plugged in anyway in between ride times. Well, there it is, started right up. It's choked out, full choke. We're going to get up to speed there real quick, bring that choke back down. I usually will let it run 3 or 4 minutes before I'll try to ride it. And even then it can be slow off the line if it's a real cold day out. But right now during the summer it's not too bad, especially since we're in Florida. But I've almost got the choke trim completely back at this point, and it'll just sit and idle and go ahead and do its thing. I'll go ahead and cut it off here so I can tell you a little more. All 4 carbs were taken off about 6 months ago and sent out to California to a place called Old School Carbs, that their specialty is rebuilding carburetors on older bikes. And Jack, that owns the place over there, rebuilt those for me. And so completely cleaned out and run through the cleaner, new seals, new everything in the carbs, and the carbs were tuned and made good to go. So as it was running a little rough at idle, and so I just figured after a number of years it's time to get something done with them. And Jack got that taken care of, and the carbs have been running pretty good since. Work that I know that it needs, because I'm a full disclosure person, is this front brake has a little bit of a squeak in it. I had intended on changing that out. There's a shop here locally in Tampa that deals in old motorcycle parts specifically. It's called West Coast. Anyway, West Coast, I had talked to Bill over at West Coast a while back, and he recommended a couple things for that. I mentioned earlier that when you're riding it, say 70 miles an hour, that it has a little bit of a roughness to it. And he made us several suggestions. So the way that I am, because it's actually almost 50 minutes down to his shop to go get parts, I actually bought every part that he said could possibly be that problem. Okay, so on the front brakes there, you know, like I said, it's got some dragging to it. It's got a squeak to it, or what I say, a noise, if you will. Anyway, so everything that I think that it needs right now to do anything to it is actually going to be included with the sale. I've got my new bike now, and so I just haven't had time or taken time to mess with it. From left to right, you've got 4 NGC spark plug ends that go on the end of the wire where the spark plug hooks up. Bill recommended these because they actually have a resistor built in, I guess, and that was he thought that might be part of the problem at speed, that it was a little rough. The second suggestion he made is that it might be the fuel pump. That second one is a used fuel pump right from Bill's shop that was pressure tested and shown to be good. Again, I just haven't had time to try these solutions to see what might work. And again, it rides. It just has a little miss to it at around 65 or so, 70. Third suggestion is that it might be related to the coil. So there's actually 2 coils on board, 4 wires for 4 cylinders. That actually has 2 coming off the top there. So that is a used coil off another 84 Magna, and then you've got a caliper off of a 84 Magna, and that's got good pads on it. That's to address the front brake issue. And then last but not least, up there in the corner, that's actually a $12 tube of metal polish that I have not got around to using on this bike. I think this will be a good bike for somebody that wants an older bike and wants a good project bike. I just have run out of time and effort to put into this one, having a new one. You know how it is with your motorcycles. You put your heart into them and ride them for a while, and then you trade up or trade out or whatever folks do. So I just wanted to try and give you as much information as possible on this Honda Magna 1984 model. Oh yeah, it is missing this horn bezel. You can see right here on the front, it's got the left horn bezel. I guess it would be the right on the bike, and the left one, or the left hand side as you're sitting on the bike, is missing. That's something that Bill can get for you as well. I didn't remember to get it when I was down there. I actually took it off and lost it. Oh well. So that's the rundown on this 84 Honda Magna, and it's been a good bike for me, and hopefully it'll be a good bike for somebody else. Just put a little TLC into it. I think it'll be a great ride for somebody. Thanks there, eBayers and YouTubers, have a great one.